Hello students, and in my today's online tutorial we'll discuss about the chapter Madam Rides the Bus. It is written by Vali Kannan and there are many illustrations in this chapter by R.K. Lakshman, the famous cartoonist. Okay, the explanation goes for the students. There is a child and this child is 8-year-old child and her name is Vali Amai. And she is called as Vali in short, and she has a very strong desire to ride the bus. You must be wondering, because you people are today's generation, today's children. So, but when the story was written, children, it was long back means we can say 1950s. So, that time the mode of communication as well as transportation that were not so well developed, we can say. And or in simple words I can say that children, yes, even today the bus journey is something dream for somebody. Okay, so let's see, its entire story weaves around the desire of Vali to travel in bus, how she plans, how she executes her plans, how cleverly she knows how to get what she wants. And then this chapter is divided into 4 parts. 1, 2 deals with the planning and execution of the plan. The 3rd tells us about her travel, and in the 4th, she comes to the hardcore reality, something which is not very pleasant episode. And the last sentence of this chapter ends with a question mark. Okay, a very interesting and very simple language is very simple, children. So, what I will be doing is I will be reading out the paragraph and then I will explain out, and I will be telling you some difficult words, the ones which are used in those paragraph. So, let us start with the chapter. Students, I have written for you all the summary of this chapter also in a very simple words, and also what I have done is I have explained, I have taken the paragraphs from the net and then I have explained those paragraphs so that children are able to read and understand without much difficulty. So, let's start reading. Okay. So, part 1, the Madam Rides the Bus. Okay. There was a girl named Vali Amai. Now, students, you please underline this Vali Amai or note it down, because in the entire chapter only once this word is mentioned, Vali Amai. Okay, and that too in the first sentence of this chapter. Who was called Vali for short, nickname which you can say. She was 8-year-old and very curious about things. Her favorite pastime was standing in the front doorway of her house, watching what was happening in the street outside. There were no playmates of her own age on her street, and this was about all she had to do. So, very simple, students, self-explanatory. So, she was 8-year-old. She always used to stand on the threshold of the door, you can see in the picture also, and used to see the activities outside on the street. There were no children of her age, so she could not go out to play with the children. And her favorite pastime was, okay, let's see. But for Vali, standing at the front door was every bit as enjoyable as any of the elaborate games other children played. Like of her age group, the children will be playing lots and lots of games, okay. But it is not that she missed on those games. She enjoyed one activity a lot. And what was that activity? Let's see. Watching the street gave her many new unusual experiences. The most fascinating thing of all was the bus that travelled between her village and the nearest town. It passed through her street each hour, once going to the town and once coming back. The sight of the bus, filled each time with a new set of passengers, was a source of unending joy for Vali. So, she could not play out because she never had any friends to play, but she enjoyed the bus coming which used to cross the street on which her house was, and she used to enjoy the arrival and the departure of the bus that routed from her village to the nearby town. The passengers getting up the bus, passengers getting down the bus. It was her favorite pastime, and it gave her what? An unending joy. Day after day, she watched the bus, and gradually a tiny wish crept into her head. Every day she used to watch. And then you know what happened? That is, a wish came into her head. And what was it? Ride the bus. And grew there. She wanted to ride on that bus, even if just once. You see? It's a dream. It's a dream for her now. This wish became stronger and stronger until it was an overwhelming desire. So it became stronger and stronger. Every day she used to watch, and she wanted to, this wish to travel by bus became stronger and stronger, and ultimately it became an overwhelming desire. Overwhelming desire means the person who wants to achieve this at any cost. Okay, Wali would stare wistfully, longingly, desirously at the people who got on or off the bus when it stopped at the street corner. Their faces would kindle in her longing, that is, raise that, like we say, that arouse hope in her heart that she would also travel by bus one day. Their faces would kindle in her longings, dreams, and hopes. If one of her friends happened to ride the bus and try to describe the sights of the town to her, Wali would be too jealous to listen and would shout in English, "Proud, proud." Neither she nor her friends really understood the meaning of the word, but they used it often as slang expressions of disapproval. So, as it mentioned, very simple, students, as it is mentioned, she really wanted to have a bus ride, and she used to enjoy watching passengers getting up and down the bus. And if any one of her friend would come and say or describe the town to her, she used to get jealous, and she used to shout, "Proud, proud," without knowing the meaning. She never knew. She and her friends never knew the meaning of the proud, but they just used it in a form of a slang. Okay, and then neither, like, they really did not know. Perhaps maybe they must have heard somebody telling "proud, proud," and without actually knowing the meaning of this word, they used it just to express their disapproval. Okay, so she nor her friends knew the actual meaning of the word proud, but would use it in order to just express disapproval. Okay, so let's continue. Over many days and months, Wali listened carefully to conversations between her neighbors and people who regularly used the bus, and she also asked a few discreet questions here and there. She picked up various small details about the bus journey. The town was 6 miles from her village. The fare was 30 paise one way, which is almost nothing at all, she heard one well-dressed man say. But to Wali, who scarcely saw that much money from one month to the next, it seemed a fortune. The trip to the town took 45 minutes. On reaching town, if she stayed in her seat and paid another 30 paise, she could return home on the same bus. This meant that she could take the 1 o'clock afternoon bus, reach the town at 1:45 and be back home by about 2:45. On and on went her thoughts as she calculated and recalculated, planned and replanned. She had an ardent desire to travel by bus. Now she listened very carefully. Now you please listen, students, very carefully. Number one, how did she gather the information? She planned out her journey. Okay. Now for planning, the first thing she needs is information. So from where did she get the information? Number one, she got the information by listening to the conversation of the passengers and the neighbors. Number one. Number two, she asked them some discrete questions, like guarded questions, some informative questions seeking information. So that is how she got the information. Okay. Now coming to the second part, which is very important. Students, this paragraph is very important. Now coming to the second part of this paragraph. Now what all information did she gather? Number one, she gathered the information that the town is 6 miles away from the village. The second information she gathered is that the journey is going to cost her 30 paise one way. That means 30 paise from village to town and 30 paise from town to village. Okay. And the third information which she got was that the time taken for one way journey is going to be 45 minutes. That means 45 minutes going to the town and 45 minutes coming back. Okay. Then she is further planning on the time. She says that if she takes 1 o'clock bus, that means by 1:45 she will be at town. Then if she keeps sitting on the seat in the bus, then from there 15 minutes the bus will stop in the town, and then from the town, if the bus starts at 2, by 2:45 she will be coming back to the to her village. Okay. Now there is a question like over here you may ask, and even I would like to tell you, why did she select this 1 o'clock time, 1 p.m. in the afternoon? Okay. The answer to this we get in the third part of the chapter, and the answer is that the mother of the girl Wali sleeps during this time. That is 1 to 4 is the sleeping time for the mother, the afternoon siesta or afternoon nap. Okay. So this is how we come to the end of your part 1 of the chapter. Let's begin with part 2. Well, one fine spring day, the afternoon bus was just on the point of leaving the village and turning into the main highway, when a small voice was heard shouting, "Stop the bus," and a tiny hand was raised commandingly. So the day which was selected is a spring day, afternoon time. So suddenly the bus is stopped by raising a hand. And whose hand it is? It's a hand, tiny hand of an 8-year-old girl named Wali. The bus slowed down to a crawl, and the conductor, sticking his head out of the door, said, "Hurry then, tell whoever it is to come quickly." "It's me," shouted Wali. "I am one who has to get on." By now, the bus had come to a stop, and the conductor said, "Oh, really? You don't say so." "Yes, I simply have to go to town," said Wali, still standing outside the bus. "And here is my money." She showed him some coins. Okay, but first you must get on the bus," said the conductor, and he stretched out a hand to help her up. "Never mind," she said, "I can get on myself. You don't have to help me." So you see the confidence this girl has. Okay. So the driver peeped out of the window of the door and asked her that please be quick, and perhaps he must have thought that she will be accompanied by some grown up, because alone a 8-year-old girl, it's very difficult. It's very hard to believe that she'll be taking the journey all by herself. So then Wali is telling to the conductor that there is no one who is going to come. It's me who wants to go to the town. And then she also shows coins to the conductor, and the conductor says, okay, I'll take the coin, but first you get into the bus. So then conductor, extends his hand to Wali for helping her to get onto the bus. Then she says, no, I don't need your hand. I can get onto the bus all by myself. Okay. So you see, children, how confidence. So let's proceed. The conductor was a jolly sort, a funny, okay, nice, jolly good fellow, fond of joking. "Oh, please don't be angry with me, my divine madam," he said. "Here, have a seat right up there in front. Everybody move aside, please. Make way for madam." Students, on this, a question is the NCERT question, like why did the conductor call her madam? So the answer, I'll be putting up the answers also along with this description in the link box. So the conductor calls her or Wali madam because she's behaving like a grown up, 8-year-old behaving like a grown up, and the confidence she has to travel all alone to town. Okay, that's the reason she is being referred to as madam, and she refuses to take any help. So the conductor is telling, don't be angry madam, please take the seat. And then he is telling all the passengers to make way for her. And she is telling, again he is referring to her as madam. So then it was a slack time of the day. Slack time means not a busy hour, okay. And there were only 6 or 7 passengers on the bus. They were all looking at Wali and laughing with the conductor. So obviously all grown up passengers, they were looking at Wali and they were just smiling, they were laughing, okay. Wali was overcome with shyness. So she was a little shy, but she overcome, still confident. Avoiding everyone's eyes, she walked quickly to an empty seat and sat down. Then next we have, may we start now madam? Conductor is asking her again, referring to as madam. May we start madam? The conductor is asking, smiling. Then he blew his whistle twice and the bus moved forward with a roar. It was a new bus. Its outside painted a gleaming white with some green stripes along the sides. Inside, the overhead bars shone like silver. Directly in front of Wali, above the windshield, there was a beautiful clock. The seats were soft and luxurious. So students, this paragraph is very important because in this paragraph, the writer Wali Kannan is describing about the bus. And it is also telling about the keen observation of Wali. She observed that the bus was a new bus. It was painted white with green stripes and the overhead bars were shining like silver. Number 2 point. Number 3, directly in front of Wali, over the windshield, there was a beautiful clock. Number 3. Number 4 point we have, the seats were soft and luxurious. Okay. Then we'll do only one paragraph more. And then I'll continue in the second part of the video. Wali devoured everything with her eyes, but when she started to look outside, she found her view cut off by a canvas blind that covered the lower part of her window. So she stood up on the seat and peered over the blind. So Wali was very anxious to look outside the window. She was not able to see anything because she was very short, 8-year-old. And the canvas which was there on the window was obstructing her view. So she stood up on the seat and peered out of the blind.